Welcome to The Good Pod. Today we'll be talking about The Good Wife, Season 1, Episode 14. Hi, I am one of your hosts, Jason Reed. With me, as always, Marissa Garza. Marissa, you good?
I'm good. Yeah, thanks so much for asking. You good?
I'm good. I forgot that we were recording,
Oh no.
and I may or may not have done something. So please excuse me if I hold on.
Are you
You see that?
pull it in, Jason? Pull it in.
Oh, I'm sorry. Please excuse me if I am a little off and I may be distracted. It's nothing, trust me, nothing you need to worry about.
Were you meeting up with someone from the Peace Corps last night and thought you weren't gonna pod today? Is that what's happening?
Possibly. I don't know. Can't say one way or the other. Just don't tell our non-existent boss, you know?
Well, we are telling our bosses, our listeners are here,
That's true. That's
so
true.
you know.
But just keep that under our hat. I don't want it to affect our competition of who the listeners like
Yeah,
more, me or
our,
you.
our competition on Good Wife pods. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
we'll keep it real down. But yeah, we're here. Episode
We are
14.
here. Yeah, episode 14, which you found out last week is not close to the end, even though
It's
Marissa lied
closer.
to us.
It's closer.
Oh, sir, one episode closer.
Yeah.
Yeah, but before we get before we dive into the case,
Ooh,
into the episode, I just
yeah.
want to remind you guys that some of the easy, free ways that you can support us, no matter where you're listening or watching. Of course, if you're watching on YouTube, you can always give us some thumbs up down here. That really helps us get up into the algorithm so people can see us more. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or really any other podcatcher that does reviews or ratings, please give us a 5-star review or whatever the scale is for whatever podcast thing you're listening to. Give us the highest one on that, please. And of course, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, you can leave us a written review. We really, really, really love those. You can also email us with any comments, questions, any feedback you got. You can email us at thegoodpodfeedback@gmail.com. As always, thank you so much for rating us, for following us. We really do appreciate it, and it really helps us out to get our show more notoriety, more followers, listeners, that people can see us more. Really appreciate it.
Yes. Really do. We got to get ready. Like Elsbeth season 2 is coming around the corner, so we got to make sure people know we're here, so that when we start up talking about that, we can have more friends to talk about.
Yes, for sure. Marissa, this
Yeah.
episode, it almost felt like I was watching episode 24, right? We
Yeah, it was very high pace.
Yeah, we got people running, away from police. We got a big mystery to solve. Who murdered this person? So it was a very, very interesting episode to watch. It kind of went away from a lot of the typical good wifeness that we have. So I immensely enjoyed this episode.
Yeah, it was a good one. We were talking a little bit before pot. This is like the most mystery vibe of a show that we got. We got lots of different pieces as they were being shown to the team as well. And I think, Kalinda texting Will certain pieces of information. We had a lot of stuff happening kind of in real time. So I think your comparison to 24 here is spot on. But unlike in 24, this team had 48 hours.
Yeah,
so
maybe it's more like the first 48. If you ever watch that show on what is it, A&E? I think maybe it was more like that. We got to figure this out in the next 48 hours.
And wasn't there a movie called 48 Hours? I don't know. I think.
Yeah, that was a Eddie Murphy,
That's
Nick
what I
Nolte
thought.
joint.
Yeah.
It was a 48 hours, and there was another 48 hours. No, it's not another one of that name. It was titled Another 48 Hours. So yeah, those classic 80s romp in the Eddie Murphy action movie oeuvre.
Well, we won't keep you listeners here for 48 hours, maybe 48 minutes, but not 48 hours. Should we just get into it and talk about this case like they did, right off the bat in the start of this episode?
Let's pounce right into it. Let's do it.
All right. So everyone is everywhere at the start of this episode. Alicia is meeting with the police to get ready for Peter if he gets, released on what's that called? Electronic surveillance. Yeah. Getting ready to see if Peter comes home. Diane's in some fancy dress. Will's wearing a hoodie and a jacket, and he's doing his best Mike Ross impression from Suits. Again, Suits is on my mind. But
Suits of he's got his 5 o'clock shadow game going on. He hasn't shaved today. Damn, Will Will really goes schlubby on his days off.
Well, and everyone's getting the call like, hey, all hands on deck, bring clothes for 48 hours. We need you at the office. And Carrie is in a little bit of a different situation. First of all, how many candles do you really think this a man owns? Like, what the heck is going on there? I felt like I was in some sort of 1990s movie or music video in that situation. There were just so many
Carrie
candles.
No, Carrie strikes me as the guy that would buy 1,000 candles because, like, chicks really love candles.
Chicks to
So, like,
candles.
she loves candles. So I'm gonna show her like how like in touch I am with females. He's probably one of those guys that says females a lot. I'm gonna
Oh,
show all the females how really in touch with them I am by buying a bunch of candles, so they know I'm legit. I'm what's up. Like, so yeah, he's it's definitely a fire hazard in Carrie's
oh,
apartment.
especially because he's also high on mushrooms at the exact same time.
Mhm.
So he's in a very precarious situation. And I could not love that this is the situation that Carrie is in anymore. We have talked about how Carrie is like always paying attention to all the details in the weeds on everything, bringing up all the research, things like this. And this has basically incapacitated him from doing this at any time and also given him some great comic relief. Jason?
Huh?
Jason,
Sorry, sorry. I'm just
are the
I'm here.
mushrooms kicking in?
What? No, I don't know. I'm good. I'm here. I'm good. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know
It's
what
so
you're talking
great. So good. But also, and so we got everyone coming into the office, but Kalinda is on the scene right away trying to get some information. We at this point as the audience have no idea what has happened.
about. Yeah,
We just
Kalinda
know
feels
that
like
something's going on.
Kalinda feels like a cyborg. She's in her like drawer, ready to be activated by the
Ah,
firm because she's not in a, you know, like chilling at home situation where she's got to be called and she's like, oh my god, I'm just trying to watch Netflix. Just
no,
like
she's like,
she's already there. She's on it. She's just like waiting to be activated by the firm.
yeah, she's already there. She's saying hi to all of her old friends on the police force, like, hey, hi. And even like, and everyone's buying this. I was in the neighborhood and
Yeah,
I stopped by to see what was going on.
and can I just say this? Can we just get a dreamy detective and stick with it, please? This is
Oh,
like our third or fourth dreamy detective that we're gonna get at this point. Like we've been introduced to so many dreamy detectives. Can we just get one and stay there, please? Please.
do you have a favorite at this point?
I like the guy from a couple episodes ago, not Bunchy from Ray Donovan, but the guy after him. I forgot what his name was. I want to say it was like Hunter or something because that sounds right. But he was pretty dreamy. This guy that we have in this episode looks kind of like a weird vampire. Like that's the vibe I'm
Little.
getting from him.
Yeah.
So like I definitely we didn't look him up as part of our guest star research, but I'm definitely guessing he's played a vampire at some point in time in his life because he gives that vibe.
He does. I will always love Benvolio from Romeo plus Juliet, also known as Fred, I think, in this
Fred,
universe. Fred, isn't that his name? Frank?
Frank.
Frank.
His name's Frank.
Frank.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Kalinda's on the case. She's asking all these questions, but also like peering over shoulders. We know that something has happened. We see a security guard getting questioned. A fire poker is missing from the fireplace equipment, which got me thinking my brain because I lived in the world of the staircase for like ever and when I was covering the
Mm.
staircase on HBO for post show recaps, I was like, oh my god, fire poker, somebody died. Like that was just like where my
Is
brain
that the
went.
one? Is that the one where there was an owl involved
Yes,
at
with the
some point?
owl. Yes, yes, exactly. Exactly. So I was like, "Oh, where's the owl?" I was like on high alert. It also sees that there's pot at the scene. All of this is happening while Will has got like Will and Diane are talking to a woman who comes in. She's distraught. We've got Alicia in an elevator with a man who's very calm, but then finds out that this is the husband to this lady. All culminating in the fact that there was a woman murdered at this couple's house, and Mr. Rucker, the I think his name is Jason Rucker, was the
His name is definitely Jason. When there's another Jason, I take notice. So he's definitely Jason here, Jason Rucker. I was like, oh, cool name, guy.
well, and Jason was the last person to see the woman who was murdered, Lisa, and so the whole firm is just trying to get as much information as they possibly can out of Jason to see kind of like what to do because they know the cops are coming and they are on a clock because Calinda's calling Will and was like, yo, they're leaving now. They're
Yeah,
coming 10-15 minutes. It could be sooner. They could send someone from closer to get there. So get what you get what you need. And
yeah. I mean, this was like a because I think the overall arching story is like this is the babysitter for this couple's children. And I love also he's like, everyone talks about this guy. He just lost his job. He was a cartoonist, and
Yeah.
now he's Mr. Mom. So
Yeah.
to give him a break, his rich wife hires a babysitter one night a week to just give him some time off. And his babysitter ended up being very, very, very gruesomely murdered. I'm like, where?
Yes.
As the detectives just letting Kalinda in the house because she's their old friend. Like, yeah, come on into the murder scene. Come check it out with us. Like, don't worry about it. And it's just like I'm just like there's blood everywhere. Like it's like I was like, wow, like
There's a lot of blood.
this is
Like,
prime time CBS. I'm like, damn, like we were going all out.
yeah. Well, and they also find, and Kalinda notices that there's a nub from a laptop on the floor. Like this is something that plays into the overall, case
You
as a whole. But
you still have all your laptop nubs, Marissa? I'm checking.
I
I'm
don't think
checking
my
out.
laptop has nubs anymore.
I have a. Oh, I have like I never noticed my nubs before. That sounded weird, but okay. I have like just a bit. I have two long lines of nub on the
Yeah.
bottom.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
how I
yeah.
leave.
Like little rubber things.
Yeah, I have two long nubs. What's your nub situation, Marissa?
I am nubless.
I have no nubs.
No nubs.
I have two long nubs.
This is the word they use. They use the word nubs. We're not making this
Yeah,
up. It was what they said.
almost as bad as nibs, Marissa.
Nibs are different.
Yeah,
Nibs
nibs are different. Nibs and nubs,
Nibs are
different
not
things.
nubs. Yeah. So, yeah, watch your nubs, people, because they might be
Yeah,
instrumental in a murder case at some
keep
point.
track of your nubs. Keep track of your nubs. It's very important in life to keep track of your nubs.
So we know there's a nub at the scene. We know there's something going on with the fire poker. This woman was like murdered, and in the bathroom, like
Yeah.
while she was taking a shower or something. Like she's definitely not clothed. There was
Mm-hmm.
something happened here. The police think it was the husband automatically because he was the last person to see Lisa before she was murdered. Kalinda is questioning the security guard who is giving off like super creepy vibes. Like
Big creep energy.
super creepy vibes. Like knows the neighborhood, everyone in the neighborhood, sees the neighbor, and the neighbor is like not wanting anything to do with him, and then also knows Lisa's name but doesn't know anyone else's name. And
Yeah.
so it's a big red flag here.
You could tell like the call for like auditions for this role was like must give off super creepy vibe. Like don't show up if you're not a super creep. Otherwise, either that or they're just like they put the call out for a security guard, and the guy that played the security guard later is like watching the episode. They just keep describing him as creepy. I was like, it's like, am I creepy? Like, do I give off creep vibe? I didn't. They didn't tell me to act creepy, but I guess I'm just a creep. Like,
Super
wow,
creepy.
that's cool.
Super creepy. The alibi that Jason Rucker gives at the beginning is that he was at a movie, but he threw away the ticket stub. Always keep your ticket stubs, people. Like you never again your nubs and your stubs.
Keep track of your nubs, your nibs, and your stubs. But see, well, no, we still get stubs at the theater because
get a digital stub.
Well, and even like yeah, no, I don't get stubs at the theater anymore. I'm trying to think of it because now it's all on your phone. They scan your little phone, put your
Right.
tickets on your phone.
But there's still a record, right? Like there's still.
I mean, you can have them print out. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I'm talking about like physical evidence. Like you can have them print out a stub, but I'm sure they would be annoyed at you if you were just like, "Hey, can I print out this stub?" And like, oh, fine, got to go to the computer at customer service to print it out, but whatever. Like,
but just like. If you go to a movie, prove that you can go. You've been to the movie. This has happened like so many times in murder case stories. Like, just track your stubs and your nubs and your nibs.
Yeah.
So then everyone is like doing all this investigation. We have multiple questioning things happening at the same time, and Kalinda is keeping on the heels of the cops and goes to Northwestern to learn about Lisa, who was a student at Northwestern. And here she sees Tony, the hot detective of the week, questioning people, and she kind of like overhears some people talking about Lisa and puts herself in the position of just homicide. Like, are you a cop? No. homicide. So she overhears these students and they think that it was the husband that killed Lisa. They said that Lisa was telling, at least one of them, the guy was saying that Lisa was saying that the guy was getting too close, but he is also super eager to give a statement. He's like, "Do you want me to tell the police?" "Yeah, I'll totally tell the police." And I was like, that's a little weird. But he does know that Lisa works with Jason on graphic novels. So there is a tie that's happening there. But it just goes to show
Yeah,
Kalinda will Kalinda wherever she is.
this dude who also is super creepy is definitely trying to give like a lot of help to the case.
Yes, and this guy, his character's name is Max. We looked him up before. You may recognize him from Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist as the CEO in that show. His name is Noah Weisberg. But yeah, he gives off the creepy vibes as well.
Creep
So
slash psycho vibes.
yeah. Like definitely something's up there. Both the police and the firm find out that Jason had a studio that he let Lisa come in from time to time. So Alicia, this is like the most daring thing we've seen. Like
Yeah.
most unethical, almost unethical thing we've seen her do. She goes to that studio before the cops and takes in the scene and is on the phone with Will and basically says, "Hey, there's a hair here, a long blonde hair," and Will tells her to take it and she takes it. And then she also sees that there's a bra on the towel rack and she takes the towel on the bra and the garbage, takes everything and runs out like 2 seconds before the police get there.
She's
Super on the edge.
she's literally running from the cops. And it's like it's so interesting to see the progression that Alicia has taken, right? Because way early in the season, we're like, I think, I think our client tried to bribe a jury member,
Yeah.
and I was like, I'm about to take some evidence and run from the cops. Like that's where we've gotten with with Alicia. Like I'm about to take crucial evidence, hide it from the police, and run away with it.
But
Like
what I
we're
think
not in
is
the gray anymore.
yeah, we are not. And what's interesting, I think, is that like she was paralyzed at first. What do I do? Will gives her permission for the hair. Doesn't say
Mhm.
anything about the bra or the trash or anything, but just Will like giving consent to this one action opens everything else up for her to be like, I'm going to take this, I'm going to take this, I'm going to take that.
I'll
Like if
take
she was on the phone
everything.
with like Diane or Carrie, I don't know if it would have gone the same way, but like she really trusts Will. And Will like tells her later, like, you were within the law. Like,
He was like, he's like, you were well within the law. Alicia was like, well within the law. He's like, well, you were. I mean, you were like within the law.
well,
You were right inside the law. Like barely. You got your toe over the line for the law. Like you
but
were
like
in it.
the
You
majority of your
weren't very
foot
much in.
was like
Yeah,
still in the
yeah.
law.
It's kind of like when we watch football, and it's like you toe tapped within the law. You toe tapped. You got the touchdown. You were within the law. Technically, you were in the law. Ethically, that we might have to get a replay review. Ethically, like we don't know about that part.
So we've got Will working with Alicia and Carrie to keep the Jason side of things going, and Alicia walking within the law. Diane is talking to Jason's wife, Sonia. Sonia, who is played by Sonia Sohn from The Wire and from Will Trent. Apparently, she was really big on that show, but
Yeah.
so you may have recognized her from there. I did not recognize her. Did you recognize her?
She was someone I recognized from stuff, but like not someone like oh yeah, that's Sonya from The Wire. Like no, that's not what I went with it. I do want to. I don't want to get away from the fact that throughout this whole case, one of the funniest parts of it is witnessing Carrie tripping
Oh, for
balls
sure.
and like and just having Alicia look over and be like, the hell are you doing? As you just as you can just tell he's so out of it. He's like messing with his tie. He's like just looking at it crazily. He's just like piping in when obviously he should be piping in. I just love how Alicia's clocking it. Will clocks like once or twice, but Alicia, as she is with everything, is just so so eagle eyed. She's like, what the hell is
Oh,
going
she
on
is like
here?
also like momming the situation because she's like, "Are you okay, Carrie?" He's like,
Yeah, she's like, can I
"I
talk to you over here for a
you,
second?
Alicia. I like you," and she's like, "I like you too."
Yeah.
But you got to pull it together. And my favorite line of his is like, "Okay, here we go, pulling."
Yeah. Pull it, pulling it together, pull it together, keep pulling it.
It's so
Yeah.
good. It was. This is like I know we've talked about how Carrie's character throughout the series, the series, but this is this is one of the more endearing moments
Mhm.
of Carrie that we start to see early on in the series. So yes, good point. While Carrie is still tripping and Alicia is running from the law, Diane has to tell Sonia that of what they found at this
Mhm.
studio, and she thinks that, you know, to basically tell Sonia, hey, maybe your husband was sleeping with Lisa, and Sonia does not like to hear this news, but says there is a nanny cam if you want to go see what's going on. It's in the alarm clock on the side of the bed. So who's
Yeah,
gonna go get this?
but Sonia kind of was kind of like she like doesn't like to hear, but she wasn't super surprised. She's like, kind of felt something might be going on, which I think is the whole impetus of setting up the nanny cam,
Yes,
like to see if Jason and Lisa had something going on,
yes.
had maybe was declined to prosecuting up in their bedroom. Uh, who knows? So you know, but yeah, so what she wasn't that surprised to hear what Diane said because Diane was like, you don't seem very like surprised. She's like, yeah, well, stuff happens. It's like, oh, okay, Sonya, all right, cool.
Well, I also think she was also inferring that Diane was saying like, well, if you knew that this was going on, are you jealous? Like, what is
Mhm.
Sonia's role in this situation now that this information has come out?
Start of Sonya, should we be looking at you for this?
Yeah,
Like,
because like they really ping ponged the attention here, right? Like it was like
mhm.
Jason, and then not Jason, and then Max, and then the security guard, and then Max, and then Sonia, and then so they really were ping ponging us throughout this entire episode. And this is when they serve it to Sonia. They're like, here,
Yeah.
like see what's going on here. And so Kalinda goes to try to find the footage, and also says to Diane, if you get a chance, can you check her laptop? Like,
I'm
just check her laptop. I'm gonna go check
on the
this out,
search. I'm
but
on the
like
search for missing nubs. Can you
yeah, I
look
need
at her
to find the
laptop?
nubs. And while Kalinda's at the house, she does see like a UPS slip of some sort that Sonia had signed for. And Sonia's story up until now has been like, I was at work, I wasn't here, I wasn't around. But we have something that's timed and has her signature now that she was at the house when this was going on. So suspicion is around her at this point in the episode. At this point, this is when Carrie sobers up. And we also learn that it has been a day and a half.
Yeah, he's like, and he just has this moment where he's like, oh, I'm back. I'm here.
Yeah.
Like,
Like, where
I was
am I?
gone. I'm here now.
And it was also like a really sweet moment of like, he's like, did you tell Will? And Alicia's like, no, I didn't tell Will. And Carrie's like, why not? With this competition, like I gave you something to take to Will. And they have this mutual respect type of situation of like, hey, I like you. I don't want you to lose. And they both feel that way. And it wasn't just at this point, because Carrie did say, I like you, Alicia, a number of times up until this
Yeah.
moment, but you could tell he meant it in this situation.
Yeah, and I think one of the stronger suits of the early going of the Good Wife is the Alicia Carey dynamic and the development of their relationship
Yeah.
because it feels earned now that they're just like, yeah, I like you, and it's like the first time it's really been said out loud, like you're cool, like I don't want to do any underhanded shady stuff. I mean, that's not part of Alicia's character anyway. Like it feels like Alicia would be like, I don't want to win that way. Like it feels
Right.
like that's what Alicia would do. But also she has this kind of respect for Carrie. She has this kind of relationship with Carrie that she wouldn't do that. Now that's not to say that I don't know when or if Carrie got to the point where he wouldn't do that to Alicia. If the tables were turned, who knows? If the tables were turned, would he do that to her now, as opposed to 2 months ago? Who knows? But Carrie's is at least saying right now, like, yeah, I like you. Like I
Yeah.
want us both to win. I don't want either of us to lose. And it's such a great moment in their relationship, and it's really a pivotal moment for them in their relationship as we kind of turn to them being more partners than opponents, right?
Yeah. And I think in Carrie's mind, he also will always have like, Alicia has this on me. Like,
Yeah.
even though there's like mutual respect and friendship growing and partnership happening, I think there's a part because Carrie would do that if it was flipped. Like, he would
Mhm.
say, well, I have this. I can always pull this card. So I think he's at least I don't really remember, but that would be my suspicion, is that he's going to proceed cautiously. Like still be like honest, but proceed a little bit cautiously. And as we were talking about last episode, this, like the end of cases just kind of happens. At one moment, like Diane and Will are talking about, okay, well, if Sonia's involved, Diane is going to work with Sonia and Will's going to work with Jason, and they can't talk to each other because that would like hurt each
Change
other's
each other's
cases.
cases.
Yeah. So they're not going to do that. So we have this like set up as like it's going to be against the two of them. And then Alicia finds a business card when she was taking all of the stuff out of the studio, a business card from a lawyer who does adoption. So they realize that Lisa must have been pregnant. And we go two different routes here. We've got Alicia going to Jason saying, hey, did you get Lisa pregnant? Like, is this the reason what's going on? But then we have Kalinda going to Northwestern to revisit Max, who was so eager to give his statement and also really creepily answered the door when Kalinda came to revisit him. And this is where she finds the missing computer nub. And this basically is the end of the case. It's just like, and that's how it goes.
It's like, oh, well, Max did it. So it's like, okay. And I mean, because Max is so ready to help. Because Max does tell what was the incriminating? Oh, okay, because Jason says to Alicia like, "There's no possible way I could have got Lisa pregnant because I had a vasectomy."
Right.
And and so as Kalinda gets a story from Max, and Max is like, "Yeah, Lisa said that guy definitely got her pregnant. It definitely happened, and that's definitely why he killed her, and that definitely why
and they
I
had a
didn't kill her.
fight.
I didn't do it."
Yeah, they
Right.
had a fight because he wanted her to have an abortion, and turns out Max wanted Lisa to have an abortion.
Yeah, he's
And
basically telling his own story
yeah.
and putting it on Jason. And as you said, Kalinda finds the other three nubs that are missing their nub brother or nub sister.
The nublings.
Yeah, a one nub down laptop she finds in Max's room. And I mean, and that's kind of circumstantial evidence, right? I'm just like, who
Well,
doesn't have missing nubs on their computer? Like, come on.
well, if they take that nub and can like put it on his computer, then they at least know
There are
it was
thousands of other
his type of
computers.
computers. Yeah, yeah.
There are thousands of other computers that have missing
Unless they have
nubs.
his
Okay.
fingerprints on the nubs.
Well, I mean, listen, once we get him in there on this circumstantial evidence, we're going to take his DNA, we're going to take all that other stuff,
Right.
and they're going to find all that
Right,
stuff
right. Or he
on
might just
the
confess because he is
because he's a dum
intimidated
dum.
by the
Yeah.
by the situation. But yeah, he was like, "Hey, do you want me to give that statement?"
She's like, yeah,
Kalinda's
come
like,
on
"Yeah, right
down.
now. Let's
Yeah,
go."
let's go. Come on. And as soon as I saw that guy, because like I said, I did recognize him when he popped up on the screen. I was like, oh, he did it. He did it. Because I mean, just like much like Law and Order, like when you see someone that is known for something, I mean, of course, but of course, at the time, he wasn't really known for
Right,
anything,
right,
so
right. This
I
is
wouldn't have said that
definitely
then. Yeah,
2024 hindsight coming into
right,
play.
exactly. I was just like, I saw him, I was like, oh, that guy did it for sure. But yeah, so like you said, kind of a fast, rushed ending here, which we got last episodes. I mean, I'm like, can we build this up a little bit more, build this up a
There
little better?
was a cute little like end of the story thing where Sonia and Jason were like kind of arguing behind glass doors, and then Will asks Diane,
Mm.
"Did you ever think of marriage?" And she's like, "Is that this a proposal?" "Yeah, I've been watching you." That was fun to kind of see them joke around with each other after
Followed
being.
by a little Diane chuckle.
Yes, I love a good Diane chuckle. Like I I would love it as a ringtone. I would love it. I mean, my phone's always on silent these days, but it would have been great. Um, okay, so that was what's going on with that case. We did have another case happening, as we usually do on the Good Wife world, which is Peter's retrial. Hearing is still happening, continuing on from last episode. Last time we saw Peter, he was given a deal by Childs to basically say like, "Hey, yo, you can like leave today and everything would be fine." But before we get to that, I do want to mention how baller Alicia was handling the police officer in her house, because the police officer was like
Mhm.
asking all these questions. And then the police officer says, "Hey, I need to talk to your kids." She's like, "Okay, cool. Like, what questions? What questions are you going to ask?" "Oh, the same ones you asked me." "Cool. I'm just going to go ask those questions to my kids and you're not." And that was such a great, like protective move in that situation.
Yeah, and I love like it's so interesting. Like the the relationship between Jackie and Alicia, right? Because as the cop is going through the house, like Jackie and Alicia kind of have this like exchange of looks, and Alicia's like, "Oh my god, this BS, right?" And Jackie's like, "Yeah, can you believe he's in here doing this crap?" And it's like, wow, you guys are getting actually really close, and I love it. It's interesting how he's kind of moved on from the stroke that Jackie had a couple episodes
Oh
ago.
yeah,
It's just
she's
like
fine.
I think it never happened. She's just back
Let me
doing
just
whatever.
tell you, rich people get great health care.
Yeah, truly, true. She got that special rich people medicine to
Yeah,
to just
yeah.
to cure her stroke.
Oh yeah, and I'm sure that like Peter had like some deal with some mobsters that like intimidated some doctors to give like the best
Yeah,
medicine or something.
it's the same doctors that cured Magic Johnson of his AIDS. Like,
Yes, yes, exactly. So the preparations for Peter coming home and electronic monitoring did start off this entire episode. But then Peter walks into the courtroom super high on life, super
super chill.
confident, saying hi to people, and walks in and basically tells Childs, like, hey, don't get too comfortable. I'm not taking your deal. I will be running against you. And he has decided to testify.
Yeah, I think he knows, and he has Glenn Childs by the short hairs right now. He's like, you didn't come to me with this crazy offer for no reason. Like, you definitely something is up, and I'm going to beat your ass. Like, I'm going to get you. Like,
Yeah, like
I
you showed your cards
he's
and I'm calling you on it.
yeah. Peter's felt very defensive so far, but this is a very offensive move from him.
Yeah, and he takes the stand. He did not take the stand in his original trial, but he takes the stand here basically to say, like, there were bigger things at play. I had to stop terrorism. So that's why I denied prosecution to these other cases. And as we found out, like, it really didn't matter. And when asked why he didn't testify before, Peter's like, well, I knew if I would have to testify about everything else, and I didn't want to put my family through that.
Yeah,
Oh, I believe it
because
so much, Peter.
yeah, because that would, I guess, his argument is that would open him up to other questioning about other things. So he didn't want to. I just didn't want to embarrass my family. Well, Peter, if you didn't do things to embarrass your family in the first place, you wouldn't have to worry about it now, would you? I'm so sick of Peter's like martyr act of like I was just trying to protect my family. Peter, shut up.
Yeah.
Just shut up.
Well, and this whole time, their entire, like, they will object. They will point out every single time they can that this is not a case about sex. This is not a case about what he did in his personal life. So I don't really know how that's going to play going forward, but this is definitely like plays into the reason why he, at least on the stand, is saying, like, I didn't want this to be about this when it was about something else. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Cry me a river. And then Childs decides, okay, fine. You're going to testify? Cool, cool. Move over, Pedro. Move over. Like, I'm taking over. I am taking over this case. And he decides to question Peter.
I think we're seeing the like unwinding of Glenn Childs, right? He's kind of unraveling at this point. He's so nervous now. I think that he's going to lose to Peter. That he's kind of taking over things, but he's kind of panicking in a way as well.
Oh, yeah, because he goes in on, he wants all the details about what happened between Peter and Amber. Like, how many times did you two have sex? 18 times. First of all, 18 times. And then he wants to know like exactly where that happened. Peter says it's all in hotel rooms. Childs is like, "Oh, really? Oh, really?" And he knows that Kalinda knows that it wasn't just always in a hotel room. So he subpoenas Kalinda. Kalinda got that subpoena request when she was at the house looking for the nanny cam coverage.
That was so weird. That was so bizarre. Like she's outside of the Rucker house trying to figure out a way to get in and steal this nanny cam, and just this random guy walks up and is like, "You've been served." Like, first of all,
I
how
love
did
it.
you know I was here?
She's
Like,
like,
and
case.
like, how dare you just serve me with the process papers as I'm trying to bring into this house?
Well, and I mean, yeah, which case? Like, she's got to be involved in like
We
800 different things.
And actually, we didn't hire this guy that served her the papers because he figured out where she was. He's dressed all in black, like he's stealth ninja man. Like we need to hire him for something over at the law firm.
It's true. It's true. So Kalinda gets subpoenaed, and this puts Kalinda in a very interesting position because, as we've seen prior to today, and as we've been told prior to this episode, Kalinda has played both sides. She's worked for Peter, worked for Childs, and also worked for them at the same time. and also has creating this friendship with Alicia at the same time. So she's trying to figure out how she's going to play this.
Yeah, and did we just forget about the wiretapping stuff? Like, because remember, like a couple episodes ago, we were like, Kalinda is going to be quadruple double crossing people and getting wiretaps for Peter while she's working with Childs. We just kind of forgot about that storyline, I guess. So now it's kind of like it's from the past when she was working with both Peter and Glenn that's coming up now. So she's she's got to figure out how to toe this line
Right.
of like, I don't want to and it's not even really about does she want to help Peter or does she want to help Childs. I think at this point it's how can I help Alicia, right?
Well, and like also what works in Kalinda's favor. What is the best play for Kalinda? Is it to keep Alicia as a friend? Is it to be on Peter's side? Is it to because she is enjoying her work at least from what we've seen. She hasn't told us anything, but she's playing pivotal roles in all of these cases and doing things and creating a friendship with Alicia. So if it's Alicia that benefits, it's like a win-win in the situation. So she asks Alicia out for drinks. We're at the bar. We're at the bar and she asks Alicia like what do you want to have? Do you want him to come home? Do you not want him to or like and do you want to know like what I'm going to be saying up on the stand? And Alicia says like no, I don't want to know. I just want the world to stop spinning. And
Yeah.
that kind of takes Kalinda to say, okay, well, then I'm going to throw this wild card out there.
Well, she's like, and Alicia for her part is like, she's like, and I guess I can understand it. She's like, I want to know, but I also don't want to know.
Yeah.
Like, I am so mixed up in my feelings about what I do want to know, what I don't want to know. And Kalinda is just like, girl, do not come to court tomorrow because some issue is about to pop off. Because I mean, at this point, Kalinda doesn't know what she's gonna have to say in court. She's like, listen, for your benefit, don't show up tomorrow.
Well,
Like,
and we've seen
because
Alicia like flirt with being in court 100%, standing by the door a little bit,
yeah,
like being in the hallway. Like she doesn't really know how much she wants to know
yeah, she's
either.
so conflicted because it's like, no, I don't want to go there. But she's like, somehow I just found myself outside of Peter's courtroom. Maybe I should just put my ear to the door and see what I can hear just because I'm here. And so it's just that conflicted feeling that she finds that she's like, she can't, it's like a car wreck. She
Yeah.
can't turn away. She has to see the details about what was going on in her life that she didn't know about because there's
Right.
that curiosity there. It's just like I need to know, but I don't want to know. So
Right.
it's such a conflicted feeling for her. So I definitely get that.
It's one of like the most realistic things that we see. Like we see a lot of realism coming out of Alicia, but it's definitely like that in out. What do I do? How do I do it? And she's also in a privileged position where she has access to go do all of this stuff as well.
Mhm.
Like it's at her workplace basically. Like she's there anyway. So what do you do when you have that kind of access? Yeah. So Kalinda testifies. And she takes a very interesting strategy here. She's basically being questioned about what she knows in terms of where Peter and Amber had their business meeting. And she explains how the whole system worked, that she was there to find and procure prostitutes to I'm going to say sex workers, to procure sex workers, to find these politicians, find out what they need, and so that they can be bribed by these other people. The other people were paying for the bills, everything that was happening. And Kalinda is like letting the judge know in the situation that like one of the people that she had to look into was a judge who's married and has 3 kids and loved African Americans and wanted to play out a southern plantation basically. I was like, whoa, this
Yeesh,
is like
yeesh,
so
big
bad.
yeesh. It's like, and as it started, I was like, okay, okay. And it was like, oh, oh, like, and I'm sure that's what the judge was saying too. He's like, oh, this is interesting. Client 12. It's like, wait a minute, like,
This sounds a little
it's just like
familiar.
married with 3 daughters. He's like, I'm married with 3 daughters. He's like, likes African American women. I get down with the brown sugar every now and then.
Jeez.
It's like, plays out plantation role plays like, oh shit, that's me. Like, oh god. Like, and I was probably it was just like, and who may or may not be in the room with us.
Well,
Like I may or may not be looking at him right now. Like,
well, she
it's so
basically
funny.
was because like she's being pressured to like ask all this information, and Childs is, and I think Childs knows that Kalinda what
Mm-hmm.
Kalinda was doing because Childs is like pressuring, telling her like, "Hey, you're being a little too specific with this information. I
She's
don't
like,
need
oh,
all
am
that
I?
information. I just need like the main detail, like not everything." And Kalinda in her most Kalindaist is like, but you told me to use my own words, and like for people to really understand this, I have to tell everything, including like the names of the people, right? Like that's what I would have to do, right, judge? And that's when the judge like is like, okay, none of this. This is
And I
not gonna happen.
and I love that Daniel, Peter's lawyer, also picks up on this.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah,
oh. He's kind of the last one to pick up on these. Like, oh, I see what we're doing here. Like, yeah, Judge, she would have to name all the names. Like, do we want that or we don't want that, Judge? I'm confused. And it's just like the judge is just like, yeah, I've endured all this sex talk enough. And I think he sees what Daniel is saying as kind of like a threat as well of like, we can use this, Judge, so you decide what you're gonna do, my guy, my bud. Like, you gonna find for my person, or do we have to let this get out? And I think, as you said, I think Glenn also, because Glenn's, I would imagine, privy to this information that Kalinda has. And I think the judge also looks at Childs and is like, oh, so you're trying to dig up information on me. Like, that's you got info on me. Like, you looked into me. And I think he
yeah,
also takes that as a personal friend. We've had a lot of discussions about the ethics of judges and how they act in
yeah,
their roles. And this is again another instance of like, for for I'm pissed because this guy was looking into me, so I'm gonna find for his opponent. So basically, he finds that Peter deserves a retrial, finds in Peter's favor, and it's like,
yeah. And
damn.
he says as much. He's like, "Look, my decision here is only if there's enough for retrial. I'm not going to say anything else about anything else, but I am pressing go on this, and we are going forward, and that's it." And there's like jubilation, like it was like someone was freed from jail. I mean, I guess he was, but like I don't know. He's like, it was a lot. It was just a
I
little.
mean, this is only to get a retrial. This
Yes,
isn't to say that
exactly. I
this
was
isn't to say
like,
that Peter is innocent, but I mean, this also represents the fact that Peter can go home now. Like, Peter doesn't have to go
I
back to prison.
know. I know. And he's looking around to see if Alicia's there, which I'm so glad she wasn't there. Then we get this scene at home where Alicia's talking to the kids and everyone's really nervous. Like everyone's anxious about this. Even Jackie. Like Jackie's
Mhm.
not like trying to say like, "Oh, it'll be just like old times," which I
Hey,
was kind of,
boys, coming home.
yeah, I was kind of expecting to see from her. She does throw out the awkward, "We could play 20 questions." Well, okay, like, okay. But Peter comes home, but before Alicia answers the door for Peter, that we get a couple of interesting things. We get one look to the kids. I love you. Like I'm with you. We're on this together. And then we find her like looking at herself in the mirror, making sure she looks good. And then also I think while she's doing that, I at least what I took from it was she was asking herself why she was doing this at the same time. Like I think she was kind of like, okay, but then also like, oh, like what, why am I
I think
here? Like what is happening?
I think if Peter has seen that, he'd be like, "So you're telling me there's a
Oh.
chance?"
Well, yeah. Or so if she wasn't saying like, why am I doing that? Maybe she was just trying to get that vibe off of her to like not give him any ground to walk on.
Oh, it was the opposite. It was just like, "Hey, make sure I'm looking good for my man."
No. And then Peter, of course, is at the door with his little puppy dog eyes.
I'm
Hi.
back home.
Ugh.
Like, I would have liked to see the remaining of the night where everybody goes to bed. Like, Peter just followed Alicia into her room. She's like, no, you're over there. Like, you're over there. I'm here. You're there.
Yeah, like if this was a 2024 show, this is where the season would end. Is like, oh,
Yeah.
he's home. Okay.
Yeah.
Like,
Very much felt like an ending.
yeah.
Felt like a pivotal moment here.
Yeah. But we've got some more to go. But unfortunately, Peter's home. So,
Wow.
yay.
Yay. It was kind of like how Alicia felt. It was like, yay, I don't
Yeah, I
know.
guess.
Maybe question mark, I don't know. But yeah, another great episode of The Good Wife in the books. Marissa, do you want to tell the peeps where they can find you on the interwebs
Sure,
and catch
sure.
up with your life, what all the good stuff you got going right now?
Yeah,
Go ahead and tell the peeps.
the peeps. You can always find me on Instagram or threads at it's me, Marissa G. I post lots of random things. So if you'd like to see that and see what I'm up to, that's a place you can find me. Jason, what are you up to these days?
You can find me on the hellscape that is Twitter at JAYR1085. As far as podcasting goes, this is my main thing. But again, if you guys want to leave us some great feedback and really help us out, you can subscribe, you can rate, you can review on all of your platforms that you watch or listen. And until next week, stay good.